This morning, just so you know you've got the right session, we are going to be working through training women through all stages of life. So we've got a lot to get through. Okay, there's a lot to cover. We're going to be talking about the myths, and I'm going to be looking at the science of that. Now, if you get to a slide and you go, but I do that, I've done pretty much everything. And anything that can be done that's wrong, I've probably done it. Okay, and at that time, I did it with the best will in the world because I put a lot of trust and a lot of faith in other people. So before we do start, this is not about you training from what I say. I don't want you to walk out of here and believe a word I've said. I would rather you walk out of here and go, I'm not sure what she meant, and I'm not sure if I agree with her. But I want you to go to reputable sources in order to challenge what I say. Okay, because that's what I'm here for. I am a head of education for a company called Faster Global. We're over in the UK. They were the first course that I had spent my money, did the course, and then they emailed me and said, you know the course you did? I said, yeah. We were wrong. I was like, what? And in the UK, that means another $2,000 of money to be spent. And I thought, oh, you know. But worse than that, he actually said, no, you're a faster trainer, so all faster trainers get to come back and repeat their education as many times as you like. But the worst thing is, he said he wanted me to know how to challenge the research. And just so you know, I came from an acting background. I am not a PhD person. I am not one of those clever, smart people. Okay, so I was like, no, I'd rather watch Netflix, thanks. So I put my head in the sand for about 5 years before I actually really started my journey on research. So I'm really excited to share what we've got today. So now we'll go for the clicker, and hopefully that's all working too. I didn't know whether we were supposed to use all these slides, but this is to make sure you've got your app. This is my daughter. We're here for the myths and science of training women through different stages of life. What I'd like you to do for the moment, put your hand up if you train women. Okay, in that case, you can have a little bop, because these are the wonderful things that women do from any stage of life. That's a special woman, that's my mum. She just had an operation at the time, and I said, come on, Mum, we're going to do a quick video. No excuses, you've got to keep moving. They were piranhas, by the way. She was jumping over piranhas at the time. Just in case you're on TikTok, I went viral. 10 million views because my neighbour shouted at me for training with COVID. Being a woman is the prerogative. If you feel like you are a crazy woman too, you come to the right session this morning. So what I'd like you to imagine for the moment, obviously I'm from England, I'd like you to imagine a terrace house where all the neighbours are overlooking the kitchen. The windows are like this. I kept thinking I would get curtains. But at that point, I'm across the table, and I'm just kind of trying to keep moving. Meanwhile, my mum is saying, anybody want any cheese sandwiches? Which I thought was a bit much mid-labour. At that point, my husband said to me, do you want to go upstairs? I'm like, this is no time to think about sex. I'm puffing and I'm panting. And that was the song that my son was born to. Shania Twain, Man, I Feel Like a Woman. He wanted it to be Chemical Brothers. It was this close. It was this close. But you know, the most amazing thing about that experience was my mum, not just the cheese sandwiches, but she said to me, I wanted to do it for you. I wanted to take away all the experience of pain that you had. But if she did that, she would become the hero of that birthing journey. But I was the hero of that journey, and she would have taken that all away from me. And what she had to do is to be the guru, to be the person at the side, to be the person there to encourage me, to listen to me. Maybe the cheese sandwiches weren't the best idea. So we've got a lot to get through. Reviewing pain, because I want to make sure that we're all on the same page when it comes to pain. It has changed so much since when I started. I think my first course was all about posture, then it was muscular imbalance, then it changed again and it went into pain science. So it's moved at a rapid pace. Then we're going to work through concerns, research and myths. Okay, we're going to go through those key stages when we start menstruating. So from puberty, we're going to look at those reproductive years, postnatal, prenatal. We're going to go into our menopausal years as well. Now, I've handpicked a few of the myths that I've seen, and so I might not be covering all the ones that you've seen or that you're not sure about. So please feel free to write that down on the way, and then at the end, you can ask me, and if I've read the research, I'll share it with you. If I haven't, you can take my email, which is joanne@fasterfunction.com, and then you can message me for all the research. What I will say is for every slide and everything that I say, I've read hundreds of studies. So if anybody is up here with a badge on saying, according to this one study, question it. That's a red flag. Okay? If anybody says to you, according to my experience, question it. It's a red flag. If anybody says to you, well, my clinical experience, my clients, that's not science-based. It's lovely, but it's not science-based. It's not tested under the rigor of science. So just to watch out for those red flags, particularly if, like me, you enjoy a bit of TikTok time. Okay? All right, and we're going to have some examples. So pain, what is pain? I love this. This is from the British Pain Society, so I thought I'd lean into the British side of things. Pain can be perceived as a warning of potential damage, but can also be present when there is no actual harm being done. That is such an important statement. We've all, maybe we haven't, maybe it's just me, I've had a lot of broken hearts. So if you have ever been in a relationship that's not worked out, you feel pain. There is a wonderful story of a guy who's in his work boots, you know, the metal toe caps, steps straight on a nail, the nail comes straight through the top of the foot. And he's like, gets taken to hospital. They cut away the boot to discover the nail went straight between the toes, never even touched him. Okay, so we have information the whole time, sensory information. Is it too loud? Is it too quiet? Is there a chemical in the air? Did somebody fart? All of those sort of things are constant information. This information is constantly being told to the body, and then the body gets to the thalamus and it goes, is this important? And if it thinks it is important, it crosses a threshold and you get this chemical reaction. You get the muscle changing. And then it goes to the brain and says, what should we do? And the brain will go through a checkpoint. What did your mum say? What did your dad say? What did your chiropractor say? What did your doctor say? What is the culture that you live in? All of those things will interpret the information, which is not pain, it's information, before you get an experience. Why is that so important? It's key because we want to be on the side helping our clients. So we want to make sure that everything we do is about helping the experience they have. We all know that movement is what helps people live a longer, healthier life. Okay? We're all in agreement on that. It reduces the risk of disease. It reduces the risk of diabetes and obesity. So we're all on that same page. We all want that. Just to make sure that we're all clear, pain is not an injury. Injury can lead to pain, and pain can lead to injury, but they're different. There are two types of pain. There is an acute pain, And when I say acute pain, I don't mean like a little pussycat, meow, kitty cat. I mean, ow, I've just hit my head on the side table coming out of the bathroom type pain. The other type of pain is chronic. And chronic is anything that lasts past 12 weeks. Okay, so the important thing here within scope of practice, if any of your clients have any form of unexplained pain, you refer them out. Why? Because we're flipping good at what we do. And someone can come to us and they can go, oh, I've got a slight ache and pain in my back there. And you go, oh, we'll do this. And then they feel great. And then they miss 3 months of treatment. Okay, so please, please, please do not take any risks. If somebody has unexplained pain, we do not have MRI eyes. Okay, get that treated, get that looked at. Once they've come back, this sounds a bit odd. I get excited because they have a diagnosis. And then I go, yay, you got injured, that's fine. And I say that because now we can go to PubMed, we can go to Google Scholar, we can look at that injury. How long does the injury take to recover? I've known people who've said, well, I got my client back to moving in 18 weeks after they pulled their hamstring. Interesting, only takes 12, so you actually cost them 4. So it's where we start to look at, okay? So that's really, really important that we know that. It's not posture, okay? Spoiler alert, posture has a correlation with pain. I was told it was a causation, and that is wrong. A correlation is the same as in the summer months, if you eat ice cream, you're more likely to die of a shark attack. That is correlation. So if you're happy to work from a place of correlation, it's not the best for your client, okay? Just because you've eaten ice cream, you're not going to die of a shark attack. It's just because it's hot. More people get in the sea. Okay. So I explained there that we have this sensory information that's constantly coming up. When it gets important enough to us, we get this trigger, our what moment. If I suddenly saw a spider in this room, you would see the what moment straight away as I'm out. The issue is the part here where we're looking at that pain response, okay? Because the central nervous system responds to pain. So if you were broken into in your house, you put an alarm system on to then protect you. But then what happens is the alarm system is too sensitive. So rather than only kicking off when somebody walks into your house, it starts kicking off when a fox comes across the road, or that's a very English animal, isn't it? I need an American animal, please. A deer. Yeah, we have those too. Oh, well, there we go. That was it. It's one that's... I was going to say badger. No, that's very English as well. The honeybird badger, though. So injuries. Can we predict an injury? Yeah. So I can predict an injury that if you keep your weights out in the gym, there's more likely that someone's going to trip over them, for sure. Yeah. But you're absolutely right. Unless we have a crystal ball, it's very, very difficult to spot an injury ahead of time. There are certain things we can do. Now, the reason this is so important, because what you'll find is that those people that want to sell you a product, a method, or a technique will tell you that this will help prevent an injury. And my first question is, which one? Because I can train my client for a whole session and be doing, exercise is going to help their knee, and they walk out and they misjudge it and they take the shoulder out. That didn't prevent an injury. So what injury specifically are we talking about? Once we've defined that, we can then go to the research. Then that gets exciting. But what we do know is that from the evidence that we've seen, injuries are caused by having a lack of coordination or the ability to move the skill at the particular time or at that particular speed. So that's awesome, because that's what we can do. We can work on motor learning. We can help our clients work in different and move in different environments, different speeds. So we're progressing them through. We know that if you've had an injury, you're 50% more likely to get that injury again. So just ask people in your park. Just ask people if they've ever had an injury, and then you know, and you can go to the research. So a lot of the times, if you've had a hamstring injury, you can it's a high predictor of a knee injury. So make sure that they've gone through their hamstring injury rehab correctly. So the other one is you were just unlucky. I didn't see the I didn't see the chair. You know, if you're skiing, incidentally, my daughter is definitely more likely to have a skiing accident than I am because I don't go skiing. That's another way of injury prevention. All right, so let's get moving. 3 generations here. Fortunately, we recently lost my grandma. She died a day before her 99th birthday, but she was in the video. She was in the video. This is my daughter. I do apologise if it's a little bit racy on the sound here. So what are the concerns of our young athletes, our young ladies that go into menstruation? So I had a little chat with her and a few of her friends. One of the biggest concerns was they wanted to have a big bottom and a teeny tiny waist, just like they do on Instagram and TikTok. Okay, so what are we thinking? Can we do this within scope of practice? Well, I went to the research. So I may need to explain these. I understand that here in America, these are pants. Yeah? Okay, so good, good. These are my pants in the UK. All right, so knickers, is that same right word? Okay, so these are my research knickers because I am not a PhD, so I get excited now about my pants. Okay, I don't want to talk about getting inside PubMed. If I'm looking for some information from research, first of all, I need to know what my client's reading. I need to know where they're getting their information from. So the analogy here with the pants is everything goes in. Okay, everything goes into your pants from the top. Your Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, all of that goes in there. I want to then look at scientific blogs. What will happen there is you'll find that there'll be a lot of references. You can then go to the references and check them. Then we go to look at the research studies ourselves. The really challenging thing there is getting the question right. And I don't have the time to take you through the whole process of research. But if you feel like it's something you're interested in, just come and see me afterwards. Okay, and I can tell you how. So from this point, we read all this information. If you're a PhD, you can probably go through these papers a lot quicker than I can. I don't have that skill, so I needed a process. Excuse me. So my process is to make sure, one, that the studies of high quality. This is really important when we start to talk about women, particularly as we come to pelvic floors. I can't tell you how many research studies are done on men. I don't know why. Well, I do, but it wasn't as easy to cut up women a long time ago. People were a bit more precious. The other thing is guinea pigs. So many studies on guinea pigs for pelvic floors. I'm not a guinea pig. So I want to make sure that the studies are done on humans, and I want to make sure that the studies are done on a sizable amount of humans. So at least 100, not 12, okay? So the moment you see someone saying, well, according to this piece of research, go and check. How was it done on? Who was the author? Were they relevant? When I was doing some research around rugby, a British game, they were trying to look at the dangers of collision, and one of the authors of a research study was actually a doctor of sexually transmitted diseases. I've never seen many of those in rugby on the actual pitch. So I'm not quite sure where the connection was, although there was one. Her son was injured on the rugby pitch. So that is a bias. And we're human. We all have a bias. So this is where the magic pants come in. Because what we do is we go, okay, anything that doesn't make my filter, doesn't make the cut, goes out of the pants. But what I don't do is filter the studies based on my opinion. We all have opinions. So if you are trying to find the crux of it, write down your opinion first of all, and also as a little test, write down why you think that. Write down why your opinion is where it is. And at the end of going through the research, You may have changed your opinion, you may not. Okay, so getting back to the point, can we get a big bottom and a teeny tiny waist? And a lot of you said no. I know why you said no, because genetically, you would have to have the right genetics to be able to get a teeny tiny waist and a big bottom. Some people do have that. Daisy doesn't have that. So the first thing, if you want a big bum, tiny waist, check out mum and dad. It's not going to happen. So I thank my mum for the body I've got and my dad. So if we start to sell our youngsters programs that are designed to get a teeny tiny waist and a big bottom, that could have an issue with how they feel about themselves. Because they may think, well, what am I doing wrong? You know, I'm doing the exercises I've been told to do, and I'm not getting the results. Our job isn't that difficult. Okay, somebody walks into the room, and they want to, let's say, lose weight. So we go, right, we'll give you the right amount of intensity, time, volume, and load. Check your parents for genetics. Make sure that you're in a calorie deficit. That's debatable, but we'll go into that. 12 weeks later, bosh, you've got your results, right? If you want to get bigger, hypertrophy, same thing. Right amount of intensity, load, and volume. Check your genetics. Make sure you're in a calorie surplus. 12 weeks later, bosh, job done. Is our job that easy? No. No, it's not, because people come with hurdles. They come with hurdles, and that could be they're not seeing the results, they lose motivation, they get injured, they get tired. So actually, our art is how we navigate through all of these different hurdles. But we always want to be the person on the side guiding towards it. So, yes, I can help my daughter, but I can't get her to get both a teeny tiny waist and a big bottom, because that's calorie deficit, calorie surplus. But what I can do is intervene and say, are there any other physiques that are more similar to yours that you aspire to? So a sporting athlete that looks more like you, or an actress that looks more like you. So this brings me to my first myth. Okay, this band. Now, don't get me wrong, I love a band. A band is amazing if you want to accelerate someone in running, because it's great for putting your force in the vector in which you want to go and either assist or resist. However, putting a booty band around here gives a sensation of a feeling of your glute med. Okay, that's the same as going like that. That doesn't mean I'm going to grow my glute. Okay, doesn't mean I'm going to grow my glute. If my daughter saw that, and she did, and she said, but I want a bum like that. I'm like, she didn't get that bottom from that exercise. So here's the first thing. 1, no such thing as a best exercise for anything. Okay? No such thing as a best exercise for anything. If you want to grow muscle, you need to excite it in as many different ways as possible. If you want hypertrophy, you need to get hold of high threshold motor units. And the only way to do that is to make someone brave, super skillful, load them heavy. Now, when we look at the glute, we all know starts here, wraps around and comes down into the IT band, back of the femur and across that knee. It goes across. So this is only going to get your bottom excited in this area. So sagittal plane. So if you just stand up for a moment for me. You don't have to, by the way. This is the Joe Groves version, so you can sit down and that's fine. But if you want to do this, we're just going to get this glute, all right? So if we got a glute in sagittal plane, let's just squat down. Yep, be getting that nice, perfect. Now, this wraps across, which means we need to get internal rotation. So let's just take the arm and come down across. Okay, good, lovely. Here's a little thing. If you see your client and you get them to go here, but when they do it, they go like that, is that more of my left glute, you're looking at right? No, it's less, isn't it? So I need to make sure they're here. Okay? That's it. Now that's going to get more glute. Now, for those of you that want to try, now if I can do it in heels. So the more you reach down, the more you're going to get at glute. What we're actually getting there is sagittal plane flexion, okay, internal rotation, which is key for that glute max. Here's the other thing. Glute max, if you feel it in a session, it's not your glute max. Glute max will lift a house and go hallelujah and never say a word. Okay, never say a word, which is why a lot of people don't feel it when they're doing a glute bridge. So what you need, if you want your client to feel it, because the experience you give them in the session is everything, you want to hit your glute med. Okay, the quick and easy way to do that without a band is to make sure that you go into adduction. So I always think get less space in your pants. Okay, so that closing of the gap here. So if you took that movement here, now I feel it because my glute med is like a whingy, whiny child. Okay, and it just goes, no, don't use me. So that's really useful to know, because if your client wants to build their bottom, but they want to feel it in the session and they want to feel it 3 days later, I love that. My favorite thing, sorry, I know you're a physio, but my favorite thing is when a client comes to me and says, my physio said my glutes are weak. My glutes are tight. Right, so first of all, muscles just react to bones, okay? They don't have a personality, they're not weak. What happens is if you move, they respond. And if we've got a weakness, that is a sensation. And this is really important because we're the guide on the side. And if we're using words that contextually make someone feel worse about themselves or movement, we might be part of the problem. So I used to use weak and I used to use tight. But actually, it's either just good in a short range of movement or good in a long range of movement. Because the feeling that you perceive is not from the muscle. The feeling comes from the perception from the central nervous system. And once we start to get this, we go, oh, that's amazing, because I can make my client feel like this in a session. So if I have a client who says, oh, I've got sciatica, I'm going, I don't want to be going internal rotation. And the last thing I want to do is to get that adduction. I can stay out of those types of movements. But if they have been to the physio, and if my daughter does say to me, but I want a glute, then I'm going to go in as many different ways as possible, and I'm going to put maximum load through. So the one that my daughter loved most was going into a hop, picking up a heavy kettlebell from the bottom, because that just ramps up the glute. So she woke up the next day going, I can't move, which is exactly what she wanted. Okay, this is relevant, by the way, everything we've done here for every female, every male. So that's all relevant information. It is just one of our bigger concerns for our juniors. What happens when we go through puberty, we grow very fast. We get this massive growth spurt. If anybody's been out in the street and they see a young teenager, you know, because they look like they're in Friends, okay? And all of a sudden, their limbs are just going all over here. The great thing about that just goes straight back to the research we looked at. The best way of getting good at moving is move more. Move in as many different ways as possible. The more you can get your clients moving, the better. Get them up off the floor, get them moving. Her big worry was she started to do lots of high impact. It's very, very cool with the young kids at the moment. And she was told that she had to do this whole regime before she moved because she might get an injury. So, injuries. If you are working at a high intensity, what the research tells us is you need to build up to that gradually. You need to move in as many different ways as possible. But we can't predict an injury. However, those of you that have delved into females and risk of injury, you will know that there is a higher risk of an ACL injury as a female. Okay, that's because of the QL angle, all right, our pelvis and our femur. Now, unless you're going up to your client and start shaving off the side of the hips, that's irrelevant. That's irrelevant, okay? Because this is the body that we have, so our job is to get good at using it. So from here, what does it really mean? Well, what I found super interesting was it's not just the fact of our QL angle, it's also because men get more opportunities in sport from an early age. So what they get by the time they're 4 is a hell of a lot more skill development and opportunities for motor learning than most females do. So what we want to do is to make sure that we get our clients moving. The danger is that we don't want them so afraid of injury that they go, I'm not going to go and do that, okay? We want to be able to create an environment so that they can have fun. We all know that teenagers want to be different and be like everybody else at the same time. Okay, so myth, how myofascial release can prevent injury. It can't prevent injury. I used to foam roll a lot. I would say I was a foamaholic. I was booked in for knee surgery. I'm female, got a QL angle. And I was giving in to my fate, but the annoying thing was I was doing everything I'd been told to do. I was doing all my pre-workout, I was doing my fascial release, and I still got a knee injury. We'll probably go into that when we get slightly further into having children. However, when I started to look at the research, if you like feeding pain with pain, which makes no sense, now we know what keeps you in that pain sensitivity cycle, then that might be good. And obviously, if you do enjoy a bit of pain, then that might be something that you want to do. But will it prevent an injury? And the answer to that is, from the research I've read so far, it does not seem to be the case. Okay, it does not seem to be the case. And so it makes me cross when you do get claims of foam rolling for immediate pain relief. So immediate pain relief, if I punched you in the face, your knee wouldn't hurt anymore. That is immediate pain relief, okay? Okay, I admit it's probably easier to use a foam roller, so I'm not suggesting that you punch anyone in the face, just before you say that.
I have to add to that because I did foam rolling years and years ago. I did smart crawl probably about 12 years ago, and it was at an SCW conference. And in my experience in the last 12 years, I think I hate the foam roller. I actually stay away from it. And the worst part of it is I work with PTs, physiotherapists, and they will tell me different.
Yeah.
Even my PT, I've got 2 who work on me, foam roll.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not getting anything out of this. And I've suddenly started to realise it's personal choice. Everybody's different.
Yep.
I've got 4 foam rollers at home. I use them for sort of like stretching. That's it.
Perfect.
I don't use them for anything else. I use balls for a little bit of tightness to eliminate any tightness in my body if it feels right. But trying to get people away from that whole foam roller situation.
Well, I've got to confess, the company I work with, Faster, were the first ones to bring it into the UK. 2003. They're the only company I know that have said they were wrong.
Not many companies do that, though.
Not, nope.
To admit something like that.
Why? And why? Because he's not driving around in a Rolls Royce, you know, and he lost a lot of friends because it's big business. And I'm not here to, you know, go at anything, but I want you to have the tools to question it.
I have a question. In your research, have you found also like the balls when you put in pressure, that would be the same as foam rolling? Is that really?
So, and here's the thing, you see, like I said, anything that works with you personally, do it. It's fine. So I'm certainly not up here saying you should do, you shouldn't do. What I want you to do is to think about it. So if we go back to the question, which is the hardest thing, why are we doing it? And we might be doing it because we're experiencing pain. But what this does is short term, you get out of pain. And the problem, because I was doing this, I had a full clientele. Do you know the song Addicted to Love? So my client was the woman in there not wearing a bra. Just if you want to Google her. She came to me with a shoulder she couldn't get above here. So I started using what I thought were trigger points, which they can't actually decide where they are. And if they can't agree on them, they can't measure them. So the research on that is just it was just non-existent. But what I believed I was doing was creating range. And in that session, I did create range. She thought that was brilliant. I had just done a course. I thought that was fantastic. We both gave each other a high five. And she brought me loads of clients. So it was really hard for me to change that because I wanted, well, what else can I do then? But what else you can do is to move your clients, to get them more skillful. Because if they're experiencing pain in there and we've had it diagnosed, then there's a reason. And what we need to do is to use motor learning, dynamic systems theory, to be able to get them into different movements and reinforce what they're capable of. I loved what you said about lying on it in a different position, because all that is a different environment, and that goes hand in hand with motor learning, feeling a different thing. Sometimes it's difficult though. Oh, and in here it does say that this will loosen your IT band. Well, let me tell you, the only thing that will loosen an IT band is a road roller, and it would crush your femur at the same time. The other thing is the job of the IT band is to hold the knee where it is, and I quite like mine where they are. And if that was the case, it would mean that an NFL player would come off the pitch like this, because they've had their IT band lengthened all through, being smashed into. If medically you need your IT band lengthening, which is possible, that's a surgical thing, so that's not our job. Okay, right, I'm just going to get cracking through here. So going into where we may be thinking about getting pregnant, or we may be thinking about trying not to get pregnant. So let's sort of start to look at our mums-to-be, what their concerns are. One of the big concerns are to go through labour without pain. There's a few people who've been there. So, I mean, looking at the research, interestingly, if you do exercise more, you are more likely to have vaginal birth. There are things that it's going to help you with the event. And let's just say that this is the biggest endurance event out of anything. Marathon de la Sarre, bleh, nothing compared to going through labour, okay? The metabolic changes we go through as we get pregnant is phenomenal. Now, obviously here, if you're training women that are pregnant, you should be doing a pregnancy course. First of all, making sure that you're not doing any of the fully contraindicated exercises. But looking at the research, it's all good, okay? If you have any reason not to move, your client has no reason not to move, then you wouldn't. But it does help reduce the risks of preeclampsia, placenta previa. It will help reduce the risks of gestational diabetes. So it's all good. The interesting things, so we'll stick with that one for the moment. So will it reduce pain? No, it won't. However, this was from a course in the UK. I just want you to think about those pictures and think about how they make you feel. If someone did a crisscross over your tummy, would you feel like you have the tummy and the equipment to cope with this growing baby? Or would you start to think that somebody thinks I need a little extra help here? And let me tell you that crisscrossing over the front is not going to prevent something that we know they're aiming towards, is diastasis recti. Okay, the one next to it, our sticky tape over our back, or kinesio tape around our back, that's about pain. And again, that makes no sense whatsoever.
You're saying that tape doesn't work?
I'm saying that if you do a little bit of research on it, they did settle out of court for their claims. Yeah.
Yeah, I did the research, and I'm bringing this up because I'm going to challenge you. Because I'm like, I tape.
That's
So
absolutely.
I'm still on the fence.
Yep.
So as you just pointed out, it's up here.
Yep.
Because I've got two
Yep.
and I was wearing my tape thinking I needed to tape again, and I took the tape off,
Yep.
and I teach everything,
Yep.
and I've noticed that they've actually slightly got better. I'm going to have surgery.
Right. Yep.
Hopefully the tape's helping me. So I'm on the fence. I don't know what to do anymore because the foam rolling, acupressure, all the things that I'm sort of thought was going to help, they're not helping. And I'm still on, I've done the taping, the rock tape
Yep.
certification,
Same.
all
Yep.
that. I'm still on the fence. I'm like, well, what's that?
Well, what I'll do is I'll chat to you afterwards to give you some specific things and also some things to help challenge me. So all I'm saying is they settled out of court a large amount of money for false claims. 15 seconds is the time that it actually does anything. Is it a bad thing? No, I've done it to my daughter. I admit it. She said, "Oh, my foot hurts, can't go to school." "Come here, I'll tape it for you." And then she was like, "Oh, brilliant. By the way, a sort of blue for most colours makes you feel more relaxed unless you're Italian, but because blue is associated with a football team, it will give you more anxiety." So there are those elements. But here's the thing. If you're doing this and it's creating fear or it's reinforcing in that cycle that you're in danger, then that potentially might not be the best thing. So my issue with this is not so much the tape, it's more the mental subconscious message. So that to me says your back is weak, and that's not fair. It's not weak. You've got this massive lump growing, and if anybody's carried a dumbbell or a kettlebell around, you feel it. But in fact, it's not posture either, and posture is led to take the blame. It's movement and the body changing, and the body's also going, "I've got something precious inside me." So its whole central nervous system is geared up to protect you. So if a client is experiencing back pain, don't tape them, send them to the doctor, but get them moving and see if that can help. Okay, the bottom one, again, it implies that you need a hammock to hold you up. And then we've got the carpal tunnel, which again, it just does not relate to pain. It's a bit like when they talk about depression being a black dog and trying not to feed the black dog. You can acknowledge it's there and you can take the necessary precautions, but try not to keep feeding it. Well, same with you have a naughty child. You then notice that they're being naughty all the time. That might just be me projecting. Okay, the other thing when we're pregnant is a lot of women don't want to put on too much weight. And there is a couple of issues here that obviously because you're pregnant, your hormones are changing, your ghrelina's changing, and you are going to want to eat more. So it's a tough one. However, the amount of calories extra, you should be putting on about a pound a week, and it's about an apple worth of extra calories that you should be eating, not a whale amount of calories extra. So our biggest issue here is making sure that we support our mums to eat healthily, our mums to be. The biggest difficulty I seem to find when I'm looking at the research on eating is when we get tired, we start to be more driven by our reward system. And so if we're surrounded by processed foods, you could eat a burger and then the ice cream comes out and you're hungry again. And that's because you're triggering the reward system. So helping our pregnant women move more. And originally we suggested that 150 minutes per week, but actually that was not a scientific number. So we want to try and get our mums moving more. Did you have a question?
I just want to add to this. And I've been doing this for 20 plus years now. 95% of my clientele, female. More men should be in these classes, for one, to know this shit. But I will say, the amount of moms that have come into my classes over the years, expecting moms, the conversations I overhear, some are so educational about what they eat beforehand, they all help each other.
Yeah.
The takeaway I get from all of it is like, everyone has their own comfort level, but when it comes to like, the first trimester, second trimester, all that, I had a client years ago that
Does she get lifetime PT with you now?
Yeah.
Always wanted to give birth on an aeroplane.
But when you talk about, what they eat and the weight gain and all that, they all talked, and I mean, I've overheard, again, so many conversations, but what I take away is that every woman's different when they're pregnant. And between the first trimester, some people say, oh, the third trimester was so easy for me, and other women going, and it's just like, I just sit there and going, whoa.
There's one thing I'd like to take away from what you said there, which, slight spoiler alert, but we're all unique.
Yeah.
In everything that we go through, in everything that we do, absolutely. The issue that we have at the moment is obviously with the rise of obesity, this is a problem, because if you're obese before you go into pregnancy, there is a link between mums that are obese, passing that on to the children as well. So it's really important that we try and help nurture what we're eating at the same time. Pelvic floor, obviously we're going to put that in there. This is a good time to do your Kegels. Thank you, Mr. Arnold Kegel, for coming up with these. There is a lot of research that says it does help before you go into birth. But really what we're talking about there is a symptom of pelvic floor if somebody gets, incontinence, either stress incontinence or urgency incontinence. But bringing this back to the training, we're not the doctor, and we're not going to be checking if they pee their pants. If you have that open relationship with your client, they may want to tell you, but the things that you can do is say, hey, we're going to train, just so you know, the bathrooms are just over here. You don't need to tell me if you need to go to the loo. Just go there and make sure that you have that environment set up, because that's going to make the difference between someone feeling comfortable in your class, in your PT session, trying to cross their legs, if they don't know that they have that freedom. So just opening up that possibility can be super, super helpful. Okay. Again, the myth here, this is taken from our UK level 3 pre and postnatal course, where it's still talking about tight and weak muscles. They're not tight and weak. They're just adapting to the changing body. And we know from said principles, specific adaptation, intensity, and demand, the body is going to change shape. If you have ever put a dumbbell, if you've not been pregnant, over here, you will notice your hips move forward and your head moves back. And that's because the result of not doing that is you fall over. And so to start saying you need to correct your mum's posture, again, the literature does not support that. If they're feeling tight and weak, what we can do is help them move in a way that makes them feel looser and lengthened. We can also say, well, that's good, because that means your body's working to hold you up, but we're just going to give you a few strategies that can help you change that experience. Okay? And again, you're not fixing, you're going into guide. All right? You're going into guide. So now the baby's born. Yay! And then you don't sleep ever again. I'm getting to the latter part now. I'm enjoying it. It's great. So this, I felt, needed a slide in itself, diastasis recti. So for anybody that's not sure, has anybody seen the film The Shining? The Shining. Yeah. I was just checking, because a friend of mine hadn't when I was telling her this. And then it's a bit like The Shining. So, where the door, and he's axing through the door, that's like your diastasis recti, because basically what's happening is baby's growing, your rectus abdominal is separating, and the connective tissue is holding it together, and sometimes it separates a bit too far, and then he comes through. So here's the thing, if he gets through the door, not good. Not good, all right? So if your guts are protruding out in your diastasis recti, not good. Do not pack them back in. Send them off to a doctor, okay? That is not for us. That is medical. However, if it's just peeking through and it's not protruding, absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. Now, I'm not saying that that might not affect my client the way they feel about their new body, but I know that if I'd have asked them before they had their child, you might have a a slight shining, but it'll be all right. Would you rather not have the baby? We can put it on pause. They would go for the baby, okay? But what that does immediately is change the way they think about their tummy and their new amazing body, okay? It is a new amazing body. We don't need to restore it. We don't need to get back to what we were. No, the only way of getting back to what we were is don't have sex. That would be the best way of not doing that. And that's not going to happen either. So what we need to do is to get our client to be happy with their body. That may need medical attention, okay? So the good news is, from everything that I read, you don't need to worry about it. Because you know what? There is no exercise that puts any damage on a diastasis recti. It's been through this massive stretching and it's just there. And you can do anything you want. So the best exercise for diastasis recti is whatever your client likes to do when they move. How cool is that? Okay, how cool is that? They can do any form of movement that rocks their boat. Amazing. So I'm not sure why I spent years sticking my fingers in people's tummies to tell them that, oh, you've got a 2-finger separation, you're good. Or
A lot of OBs are actually saying that now, so it's obviously becoming common knowledge that. And I just had a client in one of my classes, and her baby's 18 months, and she said that she's still dealing with it.
yeah,
And I did say, you can do everything we're doing.
yeah,
And she looked at me like I was an alien. I'm like, you can.
yeah,
It's like women can now work out pregnant
yeah, yeah,
as long as your doctor supports that.
yeah.
So it's just this mindset is so stuck.
Which is, you know, it's part of, it comes from a really nice place. It comes from a place of helping. But if anybody had told me, oh, you've got too much of a separation, or you can't now do a sit-up because your stomach will explode, which is pretty much what I was told. I exercise. I know, oh, I've just gone into flexion when I get out of bed. I know I've just leaned over and I've just done a sit-up. I know. And so I'm like, you know, what is this message that we're telling people? We're not weak. We're strong. We're really capable of doing these things. Now, we are talking with the psychology of a human, of a person. And if we have someone who is concerned, it might be better that we say, do you know what, why don't you just go and check with your doctor, with someone who's medical, because I can see that your stomach is not, and there's no guts hanging out here, and then that can help. So we don't need to do that. And the other one is if you too have been told that you can't do sit-ups because of a diastasis recti or because you're postnatal. This is, by the way, after our 6-week check, I will just say. I wouldn't do a sit-up because I've never had a client that has had a goal that a sit-up is the answer to. But not because I don't demonize any exercise or movement. I had one client who was a dancer and he had to do 152 sit-ups for every part of every warm-up before dancing, and he was experiencing pain. So we took the sit-up and I modified it. I got him to throw me a ball as he came up, a bag, all different directions, allowed his central nervous system to calm down because it thought, right, well, if I can do that when I'm doing this, then it found its more efficient way of moving. No pain, no fear. He does sit-ups, but he knows that that's not going to get him a six-pack. We can't spot fat reduce. And what I don't like about exercises that keep you lying down or keep you not moving is the not moving part. People do enough of that in their day.
Sorry, just to add to, I know this is about women, but I actually have a lot of men that have diastasis.
Thank you. Yeah. Yes. Yes. As gentlemen potentially might have girths. Yes. Thank you. Girths. Then the same thing happens. Absolutely. You'll find out that this really isn't a talk about women. It's a talk about unique individual people that need to move more and become more skillful.
I'm slightly offended by you saying like 100 sit-ups. I'm a Pilates instructor.
Yeah.
I've been Pilates a long time. I feel there's a lot of benefits of laying on the ground, doing clamshells, doing side
there is definitely a place for it. And I love Pilates, and I love the fact that what that does is it brings people into an environment where they do work and they do start to move more. And it is absolutely challenging.
We're not like dancing
No, but hopefully what you give to people in a Pilates studio is an environment that makes them feel brave and they think, right, I'm going to go for a walk now, and I wasn't doing that. Yeah, absolutely. So no, I'm not. I'm just saying, me personally, I don't use them very much, and I don't have a client that has needed them. If I did, then I would use them because it's about the person. Sit-ups or clamshells. If my physio has given a client a clamshell, I will use that, but then my aim would be to bring that on. Is that 10 minutes? 15, right, we've got to get going. Got some stuff to do. So no best exercise for restoring your core, okay? These exercises can be great, but not to say that you're restoring a core, because your core is fine unless they poop themselves as they walked in, because that would mean the core wasn't so fine. All right, and so it's really, really important that we're building up and getting people to move. So we head into, from the age of 35 onwards, could be earlier for medical reasons, perimenopause. What is the nightmare of this section? Well, I've been through it, and I'm not sure if anybody else in the room has been through it, but the challenge is you don't know what the hell it is. Because for 10 years plus, you might have hot flushes, you might be moody, all things that could be due to perimenopause and might not be. It's really difficult to measure our hormones. They fluctuate throughout the day, so the testing is really difficult. It's really difficult to say that you can eat to change your hormones. There is a best exercise to change your hormones. Everything influences your hormones. What you get to do as a trainer is to meet somebody the way they walk into the room and change the way they feel. You can create an environment that makes them feel incredible about themselves, and even if it's just for that 1 hour, change their hormones. And that might just be the thing that helps them throughout the rest of the day and means they don't leave their husband. It goes through every woman's mind. So on looking at the research, weight gain is a big, big issue. Now, I would love to say that exercise is going to be the magic pill, because obviously that is my bias, okay? What we know is the visceral fat from your bottom moves to your tummy. It does that for a reason. As our estrogen levels start to drop, the visceral fat moves, and the aim is to help prevent with other cancers, so things like breast cancer. Okay, so it is there for a reason. The issue is also we don't quite know whether it's menopausal, perimenopausal, or whether it's just aging. So that isn't clear. From the research I've read, I cannot find a clear answer to that. Okay, but what we know is, I would love to say moving makes you lose weight, but it's not calories in, calories out. Okay, unfortunately, that's not the way it works, metabolism. So there's some studies from Hensler Pontner that are interesting to look at. But the big thing I took away is the reward system. If you're tired, lack of sleep, stressed out, everything that comes with perimenopause and menopause, your choice system is challenged to a higher degree. And if we can help our clients to feel better about themselves, then they are going to be more likely to take a better, healthier choice in their diet. Okay, so that can be really super helpful. Stay young and sexy, because obviously that's the only reason we want to not go through menopause, is to stay sexy for other people. No, so we can't, bioidentical hormone replacements, somehow this is being touted as being better than hormone replacement. It's not my scope of practice, but what I will say is it means that it's not checked. I'm going to, can I come back to that, but hold that, just because I've got 15 minutes and I don't want you to miss out. Theragunning for sleep, don't think so. Can't find anything that supports that, but there we go. If you can sleep, great, but my thing on that is, if you have women going through this, create a community, like you said, the community where they can talk about what they're going through, let go of anxiety, okay? Our other concerns with menopause are just not knowing these symptoms and trying to get active. So this is Angela. She just wanted to run. So I just gave an environment that she could run. I got her to knock lots of things over, throw heavy things to make her feel good about herself. Myths, so we're going back to the spiky ball there, but that more about treating pain with pain. What I want you to think about is this product something that's going to help your client, or is this product going to be something that makes your client think they're weak or need fixing? I bought into the whole Vibram shoes that incidentally also have settled out of court. I loved my Vibram shoes, but what I now realise from looking at motor learning is that it's just a change of environment. So like when you laid on your foam roller, it's a change of environment. So I can wear heels, I can wear my flat shoes, I can wear barefoot shoes. But the key is, don't fall into the trap of, if you can help it, if someone comes in and they're like this, and one school of thought is brace, Stuart McGill, all the studies on bracing, da-da-da-da, and they go, yay, great, lovely, I'm not in pain now, and they leave, brilliant. Then you've got Peter O'Sullivan, who goes, no, you've got to just let it all go. So the person comes in going, oh, I'm in pain, and he goes, just relax, it's fine, no, your spine's not going to break, it's like bamboo, it's fluid, it's incredible, and that person goes, yay, this is fab, he fixed me. Okay, so both right, both wrong. And the reason is because they were both strategies that help the central nervous system change their perception of each other. So the better way would be to go, this is a strategy, how does this work for you? Oh, that feels good, great, brilliant. Now you've got this, you can go away, and you can go back to doing everything you were doing. But if it feels uncomfortable again, you can try this strategy. Because it's not the strategy, that's just a tool. Okay, it's just a tool. Be the guide on the side, be my mum. Getting the cheese sandwiches, don't give birth for your client. Okay, Karen, she has osteoporosis. She came to me with early onset osteopenia and osteoporosis. And she was told that she needed to have her SI joint put into place every 4 weeks by a chiropractor. She believed that. It took me a year to make sure that I had the rapport to show her that that was not the case. But what I did was go to the research and discover that, number one, the chronic pain she came with that she thought was due to the osteoporosis, she didn't need to experience. She probably experienced it because she was told her spine was crumbling. Okay, and so it's really important the words that we use with our clients. She wanted to run. She also wanted to do back bends, which I am not saying is the right exercise. There is no right exercise, but it was the exercises she wanted to do. She also is a Pilates trainer, and she has an amazing studio. And this is her. I'm hoping that you can hear what she says, because this was her. Did you hear her say it's taken back control of her life? She actually came to that session that day and said, do you know what I did last night? First of all, starter a fish across the bed. She never used to be able to go anywhere without her pillow. She said that she was in the bath and the shower just doing different movements that she was before afraid of. And that's pretty powerful. There was my mum. So getting older, we worry about being more frail. My mum unfortunately fell off a chair trying to put some photos of my gran away and hurt her knee. And obviously then that fear of falling makes you more frail and worry about it. She was told that she shouldn't squat. she did end up having an operation, and she's fine. But after the operation, she was told that she couldn't squat, and she was able to go to the toilet and get into the car. So I moved her Prosecco around the living room and round every place. And then she said, "Are you moving my Prosecco?" I said, "Yes, and you know you've done 52 squats." And so being aware of the language that we use. Incidentally there, it's really important that I just say that there's a lot of information around motor learning that I would love you to come and find more about. And if we are actively controlling our clients and making them fearful, they are more likely to inaccurately predict the height of steps. So we are doing the very opposite of what we want to do, okay? We want to make sure that they walk up a step without our help and are brave. What we don't want them to do is to be fearful of that. So creating the environment. This is Damaris. She is 78 years of age. She thought she couldn't run or lean on her knees. We've created an environment that looks like her allotment. So she's currently planting plants there. That's what she's doing. I bring in the Viper because it's a great tool to make someone feel strong, working on her balance in an environment that she feels safe but is challenging through external focus cues. Okay, so I'm using those different targets for her to move to, giving her a compelling reason to move. The one on the top there, that was my other myth, okay, getting someone to step on a step. Corrective exercise is awesome when you progress and regress in movement, but be mindful of how you're putting your message across. Your clients are strong, they're capable. Rather than holding your client's arm to help them up a step, which is going to reinforce that they are frail, reinforce that they need help, just get them to the wall. Then they are independent of your requirement, okay? Build environments that are fun, okay? If you go to a really good home with elderlies, they've got that community, and that's men and women, and that's what it's all about. We experience things so uniquely. So this is Angela. She came to me with an injury from a car accident for L4, L5, and C4. She had a frozen shoulder, and her husband had just died. So life was pretty dull. So we worked on things she wanted to do. It turns out she really enjoyed tennis, but hadn't played for years. And so what I'm using is a bag to create the throw power, to give her the confidence in what she's capable of doing. And her big fear was going backwards. So using different environments, we started off on a more flat surface, but obviously with the grass there. So I'm going to leave it just there. This is Anna. When she was younger, she had anorexia, and obviously that's not our area. We refer out. But it is worth noting that if you do go through extreme diets, this can also bring on osteoporosis as well. But we can move, and despite what I've heard about high impact plyometrics, we can do that too. So we can just regress it to make it safe, but it's really, really important that we do bring that in to our workouts. So here, she's just a machine. But what I'd like to do now is say, let's not put pain to the party. Let's see if we can get our clients moving in a way that is brave. Let's make sure that on the side, we do the best for our clients. It's just movement puzzles, and we hold the answer. So there's 3 things I want you to take away from today when you're looking at what you do with your clients. Is it helping their self-efficacy? Is it giving the results that they believe they would get from that specific exercise? If it isn't, you might want to change it. Self-esteem. Are we building up that they're strong and capable? And make sure that you're doing nothing to interfere with medical wellness. So support their journey. I'd like to thank you very much. Now, I'm going to be outside afterwards if anybody's got any questions, because I know we need to clear out of here. Please do take a quick shot of my email address here. And then you can... That's called a faster hub. Unfortunately, it's not currently available in the US. But I run a female group to give support and stuff, and I can show you